Hey everyone, we are live and back on the road. Yes, I'm sitting in a vehicle. This is bright light next to me coming in through the window. But you know what? I care about you so much. We still do Litvak Leadership Live, even when I'm hours and hours from my lovely studio. So today, I have a great guest from Queens, New York, Louis Guaman, who has his own coaching business. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited to talk to Louis because what he has as his focus, I think, is what so many people experience. So, Louis, welcome to Litvak Leadership Live.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks, Sean.
So, why don't you tell everyone what got you into the coaching industry?
So the short story for that is I love personal development. I've been in it my whole life, especially from the paradigm of martial arts. I've been a martial artist my entire life. So I started when I was in third grade. I was 8 years old, and so my father put me in it. But I kept myself in it throughout my adult years, and I really relate a lot of the things I learned in business to martial arts. And when I started coming into a leadership position, and when I ran my old sales company before, that's really what I started attributing leadership and how we actually gain mentality and how we actually get the kind of necessity, what we need to do, the drive within ourselves to create the results externally, that we're trying to create. So that's what really got me into the whole coaching thing. And I love it. I love the development of self and people. So that's me.
Well, and martial arts, I mean, for people who've not been involved in it, they think it's about learning how to hurt people when really it's learning how to defend yourself and how to have personal discipline, if I'm not mistaken.
That's incredibly true. I'm already, you can see by my face and my energy, I love this topic so much because it goes so much deeper into the connectedness that we have just in everything. I don't know if you used to watch these old kung fu movies, but they always used to say that, kung fu is everywhere, martial arts is everything. That's very true, because the way that I see the arts is more so as an honest expression of yourself. That's a classic line Bruce Lee used to say. So then when I'm speaking to people or different clients I even have and such, it's much more so related towards the thing that they're interested in. What's the art that you play with, right? Are you into football? Are you into chess? What kind of competitive nature do you have? Are you into video games? And this whole competition or this growth of self, it really connects to the growth of the professional platform or paradigm that you have on your day job. And it's all connected. So it goes much deeper than just offense and defense.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. I mean, I know that in my day job, it is harmonizing with Litvak Leadership, and Litvak Leadership is harmonizing with my day job. And I use the word harmonizing, I'm full transparency, because I hear Jeff Bezos say there's not work-life balance, there's work-life harmony. And frankly, I liked the sound of that.
Right. That's one of my favorite words, by the way, harmony. That's completely it. Quick example of when I was let me see, because I've been in sales for 8 years, right before.
Okay.
And so when I started off in a leadership type position, then I remember when people would not even, a few of them would not even prefer to be on my team, even though I'd be working so hard and trying to be the best. And, I kept getting better at sales. The fact is that I wasn't really showing my worth. I wasn't really going from an honest place, and I wasn't taking care of people. And it was really interesting because that's just one example that came up as to how I needed to level myself up. And when I leveled myself up, I also needed to level up the way I communicate that strength, right? But what do we see so much in leadership positions? How do we communicate strength? There's some people, they want to be overbearing, or they need to push people, right? Either verbally or emotionally, or, and that's never how you get it. I mean, obviously with Dale Carnegie, when friends influence people, and there's you into a leadership position, at least you don't get respected to be there. Anyway, let me not tangent off, but I could talk forever about the intricacies of all that.
I understand. One thing that I want to specifically talk about, and if I can get the banner up here,
Oh
Let's see
yeah.
if that's the right one. No, that is not the right banner. This is what happens when you do this from your phone. Now, there is Lewis's
Mm-hmm.
uh, link to his
Mm-hmm.
masterclass. I'll throw in there his free masterclass. So,
Mm-hmm.
lewisguaman.com masterclass. I'm
Right.
thinking about taking a look at it because Lewis's topic is just phenomenal. Are you feeling stuck and overwhelmed? All right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I personally feel stuck,
Mm-hmm.
but I was describing to someone today when they're telling me, and I'm going to tell this 30-second story because I
Mm-hmm.
believe it'll make sense. Sean, you should go on Clubhouse once they open it up to Android. And
Mm-hmm.
my immediate response was no, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I have 4 typewritten single space pages of things that I want to be involved in.
Right.
I have taken those 4 pages this past weekend and put them on a 3 foot by 4 foot whiteboard in various categories. And
Mm-hmm.
then within each category, put red dots for the ones that are most important. But wait, it gets worse. And then I
There's
put a
more.
magnet next to the one item in each category
Uh-huh.
that I'm actually going to work on. Clubhouse is just a time suck for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it has taken me to get to this point of what I just described to you to not feel overwhelmed with all of the ideas I have. Is
Right.
that what you're talking about, Lewis?
Yes, that is one part of, because that's how it's related to you. But that
Yes.
concept of just so many things, what should I do now? And you know what? I feel bad because I'm not doing everything that I think I should. That's a whole culminating concept. That's the whole thing right there. And how many times do we get stuck doing that? It's terrible.
So, how do you see as the way to get out of that, but instead um, build? And I don't have my glasses on. It is absolutely terrible. I can't even read
No,
the banner. Why don't you read the banner for everybody?
you're so prepared. I love these banners that you have. So it's building clarity,
There we go.
discipline, and focus by creating new habits.
Absolutely.
That's it. And I love and I appreciate you sharing that link before. And you know what? I will give you the very short story of kind of why I got into coaching, because before the coaching was the sales, I was the sales manager. And in fact, when I had that sales company, I was doing direct sales, doing door sales, actually managing a team of about 25, 30 people. And I loved the development aspect of it. I loved building people. I loved running the meetings. I really do live for that. And the fact is, when I had the most, not prolific, but the highest point in my career there was the second year, made the most amount of money, and
All
we're having
right.
the best months, the most amount of people running around. And I remember having this feeling of where I was sitting in my office alone, I was staring out, and there was this feeling of just unfulfillment that was there. And with this feeling, since I've been a martial artist my entire life, I knew the fact that, okay, let's calm down and let's reflect a little bit. So I did so. I took the time about a week to kind of just see what was going on. And I came to this realization that, you know what? I'm hitting these high milestones. I'm making this high amount of money. But what was it for? Right. So even though as
Yeah.
I was younger in terms of experience, growing into, let's say, okay, leadership position, then my goal was really at being a position, having this mantle and being at this certain spot. Okay, so we're there. Then what? So what happened really was that I lost a new vision. I stopped creating the vision. I stopped looking inward, and I stopped kind of caring about myself enough. I should have been more intent about taking care of myself mentally and through my vision and through my own kind of decisions, my own purpose, you could say, and then attributing to that work. But instead, what I did was just like what many people do, is I ignored that about myself and I put myself head down into my work, and I try to bury
Mm-hmm.
myself into my work. And that did not go well at all. So I realized from that reflection that I was not super motivated by just having monetary value. I'm not super motivated by being in a just leadership position. Look at me, I'm here in the top. Those two things don't really interest me. It was really kind of creating the impact or just a new kind of just something else for myself, which I did not have. So then that put me in such a negative headspace where by the end of the third year, I closed that company down, even though I could have brought it up. And so what I did instead is, and this is what I did instead is, instead of just going for another job or having one of my, not colleagues, but one of my friends, okay, put you somewhere else. I know you know how to manage people, know this and that. Instead, I took a job at a restaurant as a bar back. And I did that because I didn't want another position with a lot of responsibility. I didn't want to be somewhere where either I was known or anything. I wanted to be alone, like I was going into the mountains so I could just do my own thing. And so I did. And so I spent that time to be alone, to read more, to do more, to network more. I spent about a year and a half in person, this is obviously pre-COVID, going to 3 networking
events. Living as a bar back, changing your entire lifestyle.
Yeah. Not so much because remember, I'm not super flashy, this and that. I already kind of lived a little bit minimalistically, but I'm like, okay, what am I doing this for? So I didn't have anyone to really guide me at this level that I'm trying to help people at now. Like, what am I doing this for? What's the tether? And so I spent 2 years, well, just about going to 3 networking events a week, and trying to create value, literally in person. Yeah. Creating value, trying to give value, link people together. And what I decided is that, okay, you know what? I really do love development. That's my whole thing. Like, I love developing other people and making exponential results in their lives. And so I decided, well, during that time, I created that structure that I needed back then. And that structure of that clarity I had, that's my whole thing. That's why I imploded. That's why I blew up before. I didn't have the clarity as to why was I working 10, 12 hours a day? Why was I working for these people where it didn't seem like it was creating the outcome that I wanted or the kind of impact? And now that is my process. So the masterclass that I have talks a little bit about my story of what I just went over, but also the 3 biggest mistakes that I made during that time. So people could just check it out and see if they're running into the same thing. But really what creates that clarity, and this is really to answer that question that you had before, is the ability to, first of all, stop or slow down what you're doing mentally and physically. And instead of just trying to pick what's the best thing that you can do, it's to really focus on what are the things that you can let go of the most. That's one of the biggest things. To find real clarity, people need to understand that they need usually, and the way that I'm about to phrase it, it really hits home, at least for me and my clients. They need to be able to respect themselves a little bit more. I don't really see people talking about that online in that fashion. And this comes also from my martial arts background and such. The notion of respect of yourself and of your time and of just your own knowledge, your own power. How much work have you put into where you are now, right? And then how much time do we put into just stopping and respecting that? Then when you do that, you're able to relay the bricks again for the future, right? Okay, you know what? We're going this direction. So that's a snippet, and hopefully you kind of understand what I mean. Yeah. Does that kind of make sense in a way?
Well, and it's a matter of learning to say no. People, I hear people all the time say, well, I've been invited to do this and I'm going to do that. And I've been invited to do this and I'm going to do that. And, we all experience that excitement when you're invited in to do something. And the thing is, the more you say yes to, the less you can say yes to.
Yep.
Which is everyone, listening is like, well, yeah, of course. But people don't think about that. The power is in saying no and only saying yes to those things that will actually bring you towards what your true goal is. Everything should be measured against that.
Right. Exactly.
So how do you help people, pull away all the extraneous strings, the extra things that they've committed to? It's kind of like we subscribe to Hulu, Amazon Prime,
right.
and what else? Not much. We got rid of Netflix a long time ago.
There's a lot.
what's the point of having all of that when you're really only watching one or two?
Well, because you think you need it.
Right. But
But
do
do you
you?
need it? Right. That's to your point, right? No, you don't. And that's what we do for quite literally every part of our lives. I don't want to get people scared, but it's kind of, the word can be dangerous. That's when things can get dangerous, right? That's when we get overwhelmed, oversaturated. And but for your question, how do I do that? So when I'm working with people now, normally it's on a 3-month basis, and I have a program to create the structure so people can actually find how to create that balance between their work and fulfillment, right? I'm helping them create their structure, and to help them get back on their path, to get back on the horse after they get knocked off. That's so important. So what happened with me is I got knocked off the horse. I didn't know how to get back on. So it cost me a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of emotional, spiritual heartache. So that's what I give. Now, a little bit more in detail, I also have a three-part framework. So it is create, and clarify, create, and consistency. Those three things, the 3C method. And so a short bit on that is that we, like how I said about being able to respect our time, a part of that is being able to understand how in control of time we have, like how in control of just so many things we actually are in charge of. And so that's part of the thing. We're creating our space. We're creating our opportunity. We're creating what we need to have, right? Being in sales, you got to understand, like, these things don't just come to you. Like, your clients don't come to you. Opportunity doesn't really come to you. Really,
Right.
it's created. It's quite created about the relationships that you bring, about the value that you can bring. Okay, about this person, that, and then a lot of it is also not so egocentric, right? It's not what can I get? Well, okay, if I do this and that means I could get something from that. It's really about planting a lot of seeds, right? Which I'm sure a lot of your audience already knows. So, okay, if we understand that, then we understand, okay, then maybe I don't have to wait so much about or depend on things coming to me. It's more so me understanding and respecting how much influence I have. So it's a little bit here, a little bit there, different parts of your life, and you start really, the dominoes really start hitting, and it really starts having a ripple effect. So that's the create part. There is that's the create part. The clarity part is the first biggest part of what I was missing, is being able to just know, what is it that you want, right? What is it that you want as a professional, like as an individual? Like, what is it that you stand for, right? What if it, like, who are you without the job, right? Just who are you as a person? So these I don't say intricate, but these deep-seated notions as to the motivations behind why we do what we do, that's a big thing. I was doing that when I was teaching my people about sales, and I love that. Like, where do you sell from? In every industry and every person, we're selling ourselves, right? We're selling as who we are all the time, right? I think Damon John Wood says that a lot too, but all the time. And so, what are you selling? Right? Do you respect that? And it's really, do you respect yourself? So we talk a lot on that. There's a lot of clarity behind that. And we set the frameworks behind that. And the last part, for consistency, like I was saying, for when you get knocked off the path, how you get back on. How many times us as grown adults that we actually mess up, we screw up, right? Whether it's personal, like with family, or with, our ambitions and what we're trying to do. And we just either wallow or dwell, or there's just so much negativity that we hold on to, and we almost bash ourselves with that. I have to take a breath just by saying it, because I've done it too. We all do it. It's part of the process. But the fact is, a lot of that can be taken away. That's just really ego. That's just a little bit over. It's unnecessary, really. So then what I do in that part is helping people create a structure as to recognizing your own power. And this is combined with the martial arts stuff. Well, just the concepts. Recognizing your own power, stepping into it. How do you verbalize that? How do you communicate that? How do you show that up on a regular basis? And that's really the nutshell of that. So that's kind of my framework, and how that works.
And it's funny, you hear people say, well, I don't have time. I would build something, but I don't have time to. And it's amazing. when people put their mind to something, they have time for whatever they want. I attempted for the second time 75 hard, and the first
Cool.
time and are you familiar with 75
Not too
hard?
much, but that's David Goggins, right?
It's Priscilla.
Priscilla. I've heard of the challenge. One of these guys. Okay.
Yeah. So what 75 hard is, it's working out twice a day.
Yeah.
One must be outdoors. And this is all for 75 days. No alcohol for 75 days. Go on a specific diet for 75 days. Mine was no deep fried food and no ice cream, because I eat pretty well already. Read 10 pages of a nonfiction book each day, and take a picture of yourself for progress. And if I recall, I think there was something else. But so the first time I did it, I didn't ask my wife, and after 11 days, I had to stop because it was interfering in our relationship.
Okay.
The second time I did it, I asked her first. We came to agreement on it, and then I injured myself because I was working out twice a day, and my foot it was difficult to walk. So on the 21st day, as I'm hobbling down the street for that second workout, I'm like, you know what? Another day will come. We will do this again. But what I have found, it's funny, because during those 21 days, reading 10 pages a day. Oh, you also have to drink a gallon of water a day. Reading a gallon.
Okay.
And this is my point when you talk about the consistency. For 21 days, I did all those things.
Right.
When I knew I wasn't doing it anymore, I stopped drinking a gallon of water every day, and I stopped reading 10 pages a day. The consistency ended. And no, I did not pick up a drink immediately, but the consistency ended. Right then, right there. Consistency is so important. And here's the thing. People are, and I want you to expound on this. People are consistent every single day. The question is, what are they consistent in?
Right. I 100% agree with that. And the thing is, a lot of it is unconscious. That's what they are. The habits where we're just, who we are is we're just a bundle of habits that we're just going around subconsciously. But how you really change those habits, and really the short version of it, because we could go deep into that, but really it's just kind of focusing on one thing. It's kind of like you're on a merry-go-round, or however you want to think about it, like you're on a train, and what you want to do is just stop or just focus on one thing and just try to put a pike in the ground about that one thing. But you're going to slip. Like, it's not going to be pretty, but you're saying, okay, you know what? Reading, that's my thing. Or water, that's my thing. Working out, that's my thing. And then we just start shifting things around that, and then your entire life starts to change. That's a big deal. What you already did. First of all, congrats on already making that. Because you already have that, you have the awareness that you're able to do that now.
Oh yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, check it out. 75 hard, all over Instagram, all over Facebook. And the thing is, it's not a fitness program. People who've never done it think it's a fitness program. It is a personal development, personal discipline program.
I love that. Yeah.
And what I got out of those 21 days is just amazing, and people just don't get it.
Got it. Yeah, that's it. If you could do anything for a certain amount of time, not even certain, but if you know the reason why you need to shift something, and then if you know, and I love that, it's really from The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, a great book, where you understand the result that you're going to get, and you understand the action of what implements you to do it in the first place. Then once you understand what those things are, then you could just make a decision, because that's really what life is like. It's a consistent string of decisions that you make.
Absolutely.
You know what happens when we try to shift something, it doesn't turn out how we want. I said I was going to do that, but you know what? I just didn't. What do? So many people feel bad. We just feel bad. We suck. You know, why didn't you do that? I was supposed to do this for my kid, for me. You know what? I thought I was going to do this. I thought by this kind of age or what. it's just too much. And just like you said, no, what I got reminded of something you said. It's wild. Like we have so much potential, so many things that we're able to do in this day and
Yes.
age. We have so much information that we're able to take hold and we're able to do. One of the things that we are guaranteed while we're alive is actually time. That's what we're guaranteed while we're alive. That's one of the only things we actually do have. Why? Yeah, that's what it is. Why it was compared to what you said before is because it really depends on what we do with it. Right? So it's nobody's forcing you to go to work today.
No.
No, you're not shackled anywhere. I hope not.
No. No.
But we are in this mental aspect of how we think things need to be, and that goes into the whole clarity portion, and it cascades that way.
So do you find that most people are kind of like the Jewish people in biblical times wandering the desert for 40 years?
If I find that, yeah, absolutely. What people do, because what have I done, right? It's a lot of reflection. It's right now you just caught me in the middle of 3 different thoughts. What it comes down to is we are a lot more similar to each other than we think. There's a lot of strength, inherent strength that's there. And I love to be a part of, you could say, I don't know, an industry, a community, just a profession where it's kind of involved with unlocking that or helping people to really exponentialize really what they're doing, because it's there, like inherently. Do you know how, and this is for anyone listening, but do you know how, let's say, if you want to be a fighter, then how strong you can punch something if you were the healthiest version of yourself, or if you had the best kind of supplements, or if you had all of your time focused to it, and if that's where, do you know what that looks like? Do you know exactly what that number would be, right? Do you know how powerful you would be? No, you don't. So why are you automatically looking at the fact that you're just weak, quote unquote?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what that paradigm is, it's the same thing for anything that you want to work on. Your leadership ability, like how good are you at, your position within finance or XYZ, right? You're focusing on the negative. Meanwhile, you have no idea how powerful you are. So I like to remind people of that, about that insane amount of potential they have. And then we start shifting the habits, as to veering in that direction. And that's what it is.
So what do you see as the role of faith in people's own personal development? And when I use the word faith, I have been misunderstood more times than I could even imagine. I am talking about what some would call religion, what others call relationship with God. That is what I say when I say faith. What do you see is one's embracing of faith for themselves to grow?
I think there's a lot of confusion when people talk about that with faith, because it's also, whether it's religion or not, what is faith? Faith is belief in maybe something you can't even really see. Right?
Well, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Exactly.
Second show in a row, I get to use that biblical quote. Thank you very much.
I love that quote. That's great. I didn't know of it. I just love that you said it, and it makes a lot of sense. It's true. I completely believe that. Because when you say that, show me, or literally in 10 minutes, pretend we're in person, show me your goodness, right? As a person, as Sean, as its entirety. Show me your strength. Show me what you can do. You can't do that. You can't do that in all of yourself as a power, right? Like as a human, as a whatever you'd want to put, as a spiritual being, or just as a being, or anything, right? You can't do that. But we can believe in that, right? In when it comes in moments of fear, right? When things come up, what is really needed to get through it? Courage, right? Courage can't really exist without fear being around, because you need to have courage to really vanquish the fear, right? So that's interesting. So much like how the possibility of your growth the higher self, or the more, you could say, exponential self, right?
Right.
It's not even possible if you don't have the belief for it. So it's really, that's really big. But long story short, belief is necessary, whether it's in a faith in something bigger than you, or the faith within yourself. It's really necessary, because having that faith is equivalent to having that belief that XYZ is possible. Even if you don't know the how, if you think it's possible, you will keep working, just like entrepreneurs, just like creators do, to create the bridge. And that's what we do. We build the bridge to create the outcome we're looking for. So that's really how it makes sense.
So, Lewis, we've gone 30 minutes, well, 30 and a half minutes on the 30-minute show. It has blown by, and I got to tell you, it's made me hot and excited, or it's the sun beating down on me in the car. But nonetheless, I know that I've learned things and gotten some reinforcement of things that I'm doing in my own life. So what I'd like you to do now is to speak directly to the audience, whether it's the audience that is here now or the audience that'll be watching on replay. And I want you to speak to them for the next 2 minutes about moving from feeling stuck and overwhelmed to being clear, having clarity, and creating new habits.
Sure. One of the most frustrating states of being we can be in as ambitious people, entrepreneurs, or leaders, is this feeling of being stuck. So frustrating. And so I felt it plenty of times. But the fact is that much like how emotions work, it is much like a storm. Okay. It will pass. It's there. You don't know what to do. You're maybe in the middle of it. This sucks. What should I do? The best thing to do is have your own variation. And if you work with me, sure, you could create your own structure, but having your own way of just calming down, refocusing yourself a little bit, letting go of just these unnecessary things that are poking at your head, and remembering and stepping into your own strength. You already beat 100% of the tough things that were in your life up until now. You won 100% of them. You beat them already. There's a very high chance you're going to keep beating things again. But if there's such a high notion of stuckness, this big thing that came in your way, like a big obstacle, if you don't know how to overcome it, it's the how is there. Even if you don't know it, the most important thing to remember is that you have the power to do it. Just keep reaching out, keep learning, and keep applying. Keep learning, keep applying. Learn, apply, and then revise, and keep doing it, and you will create the answer. And that's the final point to all this. Stop depending so much, because this is one of the mistakes I made. Stop depending so much on having the answer come to you by some external force, or given to you. You can get answers that way, but you can start depending on yourself to create the answer you need. And that's where the real power lies.
Depending on yourself to create the answer you need.
Yes.
Great words. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you so much for being my guest on the show today. You brought a great perspective. We've had Lewis's website up there for everyone to see. If you missed it, just scroll back 30 seconds. It's there again. Sign up for his masterclass. Check it out. You'll get a taste of what Lewis has to offer and see if he's someone who can help you.
I appreciate you for having me, Sean.
You bet. Great having you here. And everyone else, that is Litvak Leadership Live for today. We'll be back tomorrow with another guest from another area. I will not be in the car, but we will be talking about leadership. Y'all have a great day now. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.